Hello everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to make the best smoked ribs. First you want to start off with this Tom's mustard sauce, you can find it on Amazon. Next we're going with the Meat Church Honey Bacon Barbecue. Then we are going to be adding the Honey Hog Hot. And lastly some ground black pepper that helps the smoke to stick to it. So we're going to add that liberally to the sides. The reason that these ribs are already dark in color is because I've already added the Tom's mustard and the first portion of the Honey Hog barbecue. So these are the last two portions. You're going to add on these generously. Do not be afraid to season them. You're not going to taste all of it because it's only going to be on the skin. And then next up we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the bottom side, and you got to make sure that you've removed the membrane on these. You can cook it with it on, but most people don't like it. It leaves a bit of a chewy taste. So now you're going to be putting those on your smoker. I'm doing 225 super smoke on my Traeger. This is going to be a 6-hour method. So you're going to be putting this on for the first 3 hours, and after that, every 30 minutes, you're going to want to spray it with some apple cider vinegar for the first 3 hours. So just spray it on there very nice, liberally. Don't be afraid, you can't do too much. Any excess will just run off the sides. Now that the first 3 hours is up, we're going to take those things off. They're looking delicious. Now the next thing that you're going to want is aluminum foil. I'm just using the Reynolds wrap. I prefer this brand because they are a bit thicker. You don't want to go with the cheaper brands because the thinness of it, sometimes the meat will poke through and then you have a hole in it, which causes all the fluids that we're going to be adding to leak. So you definitely don't want to do that. You're going to want to do this double wide so that way you can wrap it nicely. Now we are going to be adding brown sugar. I don't have a measurement on this, but I would say it's probably about a cup to 2 cups of brown sugar. You're going to lay that down, make a nice little moat out of it. Next up, we are going to be adding a little bit more of the hot honey hog seasoning to it. Just gives it a little bit more flavor. And again, don't be shy with the seasoning. It's just going to absorb into the meat, so it's going to be great. Then you're going to want to take 5 tablespoons of butter and add those guys on there. Next, we are going to be adding honey. Again, there's no set amount on here. I'd say it's probably about a cup. And I ran out on the last one, so luckily I had some spare. But just add as much honey as you would like. It's really going to help enhance the flavor on these ribs. And then you just want to lay the ribs meat side down on top of that, kind of press it in there just a little bit. And then what we're going to do here, we're not going to wrap them yet. You're going to make what we call a moat. So you're going to want to wrap up the sides, get it nice and firm so that way you're not going to have any leaks. You don't want to press too hard because the meat can poke through, but you just want to get the sides folded over, and then the long sides you want to get them folded up because we're going to be pouring some liquid in here and we want that to stay in without leaking. And so what I'm going to be adding is going to be some Fireballs, some cinnamon whiskey, and you're going to add in about a half a cup into here, and you can put as much as you like. You're not going to taste the heat at all. It just gives it a nice little cinnamon flavor. And then next we're going to be adding these sliced peaches. We're going to add about half the can of this juice. And then you want to just fold it up nice and tight. Make sure that there's no leaks. Now we're going to put this back on the smoker, still at 225 super smoke for another 2 hours. You're not going to mess with it. Now that the 2 hours is over, we're going to be making our glaze. So you're going to start with about a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Then we're going to add in about another 1/4 cup of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. And then about 2 tablespoons of honey. And lastly, some more seasoning. You can never go wrong with the seasoning. And you just want to add about a tablespoon of that. And then what I like to do is I like to take some of the juice from the ribs and add that in there. Mix all that together until you have a nice consistency. And then we're just going to apply that very liberally onto here. And the reason we're going to be putting this back in the smoker for another hour is, one, to help tenderize the meat, but also so that way this glaze can really set, so that way it's not running down everyone's fingers while they're trying to eat. Now this is what it's going to look like once the glaze is on there, and then once it's done, this is what it's going to look like. Nice and set. It's not going to be sticky. It's not going to run everywhere. But what I like to do is just add one final layer of that glaze, a very light layer, just to add a little bit more flavor to it. And we are now ready to test, and look at that. It falls right out perfect. I'm a fan of having my ribs being what most people consider overdone. I like the bone to just pop right out, and you can turn this into rib sandwiches, or you can even eat them right off the bone. They're super delicious. And let's take a look at that smoke ring. Look at that, super juicy.